Hello everyone, welcome to Telugu One Academy. Today we are going to learn something about the Central Intelligence and Investigative Agencies. So friends, this is a very broad topic. I'll divide this topic into 2 to 3 classes. Today we'll be learning about some of the important institutions like Directorate of Revenue Intelligence. What exactly is this Directorate of Revenue Intelligence? Before going in depth with this class, my friends, remember, why exactly do we need this topic in internal security? One, it is very important for the purpose of preliminary examination. Number two, there might be a question in your mains sometimes when you do not have right topics from the current affairs, because it might come. Because it has been said in the syllabus, various institutions, various might also include these central investigative agencies. And the third important point why we need this class is that knowledge regarding what is the mandate and roles played by these institutions will help you to solve your case studies in your ethics GS paper number 4. Okay, so that's why I have been including this class in an elaborate way, so that you are very clear about the mandate and roles and functions which are played by these institutions for your prelims, mains, GS3 and GS4 papers. Now coming back to the class, Directorate of Revenue Intelligence. The Directorate of Revenue Intelligence is a part of Ministry of Finance. It is under the control of Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs, CBIT and C, which is under the Ministry of Finance. So it is an apex organization which look after anti-smuggling agency in India. Here you can see what exactly are the different roles. It looks after anti-smuggling of antiquities from India, gold smuggling, okay, even smuggling of wildlife, rather it may be animals or important species of plants, whatever it is, and even it also looks into illicit trafficking of drugs. Okay, let's see in eventual slides more about the Directorate of Revenue Intelligence. So it is tasked with detecting and curbing smuggling of contraband, including the drug trafficking and illicit international trade in wildlife and environmentally sensitive items, as well as combating commercial frauds related to international trades and evasion of custom duties. One can simply say whoever want to evade the custom duties and to misutilize the way that is international trade in causing threat to the nation or doing illicit activities are countered by this Directorate of Revenue Intelligence. So ever since its inception, when was it incepted, that was in the year 1957, Directorate of Revenue Intelligence had been discharging its responsibilities with commitment and professionalism and had made a significant contribution in safeguarding India's interest at home and even abroad. That is, even in abroad postings also, it has been helping personals to be trained in abroad and ensuring national security. So, charter of this organization. What was the charter of this organization? To collect the intelligence about the smuggling of contraband goods, narcotics, under invoice, etc. through sources of India and abroad, including secret sources. So this is simply a sort of intelligence activity to look through the people who are trying to evade the taxes, okay, and also to commit crime. Analyze and dissemination of such intelligence to the field formations for action and working on such intelligence where necessary. They can also go into the field action. They even share this information to other intelligence institutions. Keeping a watch over important seizures. So they see where the important seizures would happen, whether it was in Karnataka region, whether it was in northern region, eastern region, where border, what were the important items which were caught from being smuggled, like either it may be antiquities from India, from ancient India, whatever it is. So they keep a track. And investigation cases associated on taking over investigations with warrant specialized handling by the Directorate. That is where the Directorate is needed. Those cases are clearly observed and noted down and recorded for future prospects. Guiding constant investigation prosecution cases, keeping liaison with foreign countries, Indian missions and enforcement agencies abroad, and on anti-smuggling matters. It has very important role even in international anti-smuggling. A recent issue which happened in Kerala smuggling case, where you can see because of that diplomatic immunity, few people were smuggling gold into India through the Kerala road, where the Directorate of Revenue Intelligence got the information, it gave back it to the customs people, and they caught the people. So this is how that whole structure works. To keep, they also keep in liaison with the CBI through them with the Interpol. Through CBI, they even contact the Interpol to gather the important information whether there is a smuggling going on through any important trade route which connects India or enters into India. To refer cases registered under the Customs Act to the Income Tax Department for the action under Income Tax Act. They said they report wherever the loopholes have been happening in the Custom Act, they report it to the income tax people. They even charge the person who have been committing crime under Income Tax Act. They even store their statistics, how many crimes have been committed, where, nature and everything, and even shared the required material with the Ministry of Finance and other ministries to study and suggest remedies for loopholes in laws and procedures in combating smuggling. They even study and say, so these are the important loopholes, please change them. So this is what your Directorate of Revenue Intelligence is whole about. One need to know under which ministry does this body or intelligence agency comes under, and what is the act which is applied under this body. For example, in the range of Directorate of Revenue Intelligence, it is majorly the Customs Act which comes into the play. And next important intelligence body now we are going to discuss is Narcotic Control Bureau, my friends. Narcotics Control Bureau. One can see this in the famous case which has been news where Bollywood smuggling case, I can say that, which has been noted in most of the newspapers. It is not me who is quoting that, but the major newspapers have been quoting this incident. So that is Narcotic Control Bureau. One might be very aware about the name. So let's see what are its functions and what are the major acts which give the power to the Narcotic Control Bureau. One can see the logo of the Narcotic Control Bureau, Narcotics Control Bureau India, and here you see the National Policy on Narcotics Control Bureau. Friends, this institution is established under the constitutional principles, that is directive principles of state policy under article number 47, which says the state to endeavor to bring about prohibition, consumption, except for medicinal purpose of intoxicating drugs injurious to health. It is saying the state has power to control the trade of these narcotics rather than it is utilized for the purpose of healthcare system. Friends, though this body, that is Narcotic Control Bureau, which comes under the Ministry of Home Affairs, there is also a Narcotics Bureau which comes under the Ministry of Finance, which control the production of poppy seeds or all the psychotropic substances in India for the medicinal purpose. Okay, it is not this body which controls the cultivation of those crops. It is Ministry of Finance. I will discuss about this body more clearly, because rather than creating a confusion here itself, I have cleared you that there is also another body which controls the cultivation of these psychotropic substances in India for medicinal purposes, especially in the region of Rajasthan. Okay, next, Rajasthan is there, Himachal Pradesh is there, all those things. We'll talk more about them in current affairs also. So we'll learn about Narcotic Control Bureau. Narcotic Control Bureau is an Indian central law enforcement and intelligence agency, Ministry of Home Affairs, as I said you. The agency is tasked with combating drug trafficking and use of illicit substances under the provisions of Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act. Please remember, the whole power of this Narcotic Control Bureau comes from Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act. That is, even the tablets or the medicines like anesthesia medicine which is given to the people during operations, if it is illegally smuggled, that also is a case which can be taken over by Narcotics Control Bureau. Established, when it was established, one need to note down that it was established in the year 1986. It is responsible for the coordination with Indian state governments and other central departments, implementation of India's international obligations with regard to drug trafficking. Why, my friends? There are major. Why did we establish this body in 1986 only? Why not prior? Because India has been a signatory to most of the international drug related declarations where it has signed for those. So that's why we have established this body, so that there is a law enforcement agencies to control the flow of drugs in India. So obligations with regard to drug trafficking, assist international and foreign drug law enforcement agencies. Even Narcotic Control Bureau working tandem with most of the international law enforcement agencies such as the United Nations Organization on Drug. Okay. So the law was established to fulfill the India's treaty obligations. What are all the treaties which India signed were? Single Convention on Narcotic Drugs 1961, amended in 1972. The Convention on Psychotropic Substances 1971, United Nations Convention Against Illicit Trafficking of Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances 1988. To justify all these international treaties, India has launched its own homegrown Narcotics Control Bureau. Officers in this organization, my friends, are recruited from different agencies such as Indian Revenue Services, IT and Customs Department. They are also even recruited from IRS service also, even the state police forces at low level, and even IPS officers, that is Indian police and paramilitary forces, are recruited directly into this institution. What are the motto, vision and mission of this Narcotic Control Bureau? The motto is intelligence, enforcement and coordination. That is, gather the intelligence. You have to enforce that law, that is narcotics, drugs and psychotropic substances law, and you can even coordinate with the international agencies which are enforcing illicit trafficking of drugs. And our mission is to prevent and combat abusive and illicit trafficking of drugs. How you are going to achieve this mission, vision, that is endeavor for drug-free society. My vision is India should be a drug-free society, and that is achieved through our mission by combating the illicit drugs, by cooperating with the international agencies. What is the mandate of Narcotic Drugs Bureau? Mandate in the sense, what are the works it can do, what all it can do. Coordination of actions by various officers, state government and other authorities under the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act. It can also take over the Customs Act cases where the drugs have been illicitly trading into India in tandem with in cooperation with the Directorate of Revenue Intelligence. You can also say Drugs and Cosmetics Act, where major drugs have been therapeutic or illicitly traded, which have psychotropic nature, and other law for the time being in force in connection with the enforcement of provisions under Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act 1985. Implementation of obligations in respect to counter measures against illicit trafficking under various international conventions and protocols that are in force at present or which may be ratified or acceded to India in the future. That is, any act which has India been signed or ratified in the past and present and future, it will be help those institutions to enforce the illicit trading of drugs. Assistance to concerned authorities in foreign countries and concerned international organizations to facilitate coordination and universal action to prevention, suppression and trafficking of illicit drugs. Coordination of actions taken by other concerned ministries, department and organization in respect to matter relating to drug use, as I said you, that is in the case of Directorate of Revenue Intelligence, which is under the Ministry of Finance. Self-explanatory, my friends, nothing more I need to explain on these slides. If you are not following me, please pass the slide and read from that. Next important intelligence agency is Joint Kuiper Bureau. One might not know about this bureau because it is not a famous public institution one might see it in regular news. It is an institution which acts or which gathers cryptic information and decrypts those sensitive information and shares it with the Indian Armed Forces. Okay, one might be very aware what is encrypted message when one is using a WhatsApp, where it says this application is end-to-end encrypted. That is, even in the middle when one is taking away that information, it is very hard to decrypt that information and read what exactly message was sent by a person to another person. That is the duty of this. Is an agency of Indian Armed Forces responsible for signal intelligence and cryptic analysis. So majorly the signal intelligence, where all the signals are coming, how the communication of between terrorist organizations are going on. So that is this important. Works closely with the IB and RA, that is Intelligence Bureau and Research and Analysis Wing. It is responsible for cryptic analysis and encryption of sensitive data. The Inter-Services Joint Kuiper Bureau has primary responsibility of cryptology and signal intelligence, providing coordination and direction to other military service organizations with similar mission. What happened is, the major loophole for this Joint Kuiper Bureau is most of the decrypting equipment what we have in India are being imported from Russia or being imported from Russia in the past. So because of the dumping of this Russian equipment, one might not be much efficient when compared to the modern day of cryptic messaging. Providing tactical intelligence is of Russian origin, including the specialized direction funding and monitoring equipment. This is one of the loophole because most is Russian dumped. One need to update with other institutions from USA, especially Israel, which is a leading player in the case of gathering intelligence through decryption or encryption, whatever you want to say. Next important office one might know is a Serious Fraud Investigation Office. This is also an office which is under the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Very, very, very important, my friend. It has been in news a lot of times. Serious Frauds Investigation Office. So it is a multidisciplinary organization. Note down please. It is under Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Consisting of experts in the field of accountancy. It also includes the forensic auditing, law, information technology, investigation, company law and capital market and taxation for detecting and prosecuting, recommendation for prosecution of white collar crimes such as doing some sort of cartelization in the case of the market, whatever the international market prices which is going on, if you want to manipulate the prices in Indian markets, all these actions, major white collar things, such as in the case of Vijay Mallya case, that type of white collar, or in the case of Mehul Choksi, who has been evaded from India by doing illicit activities or by taking a lot of money from Punjab National Bank. All these incidences will be reported at this institution. Its head office is in New Delhi. The Computer Forensic and Data Mining Laboratory was established for this purpose on Serious Fraud Investigation Office, set up in 2013 to provide support to these offices. This Serious Fraud Investigation Office was established on the basis of the Naresh Chandra Committee. So Serious Fraud Investigation Office was initially established on the basis of Naresh Chandra Committee in the year 2003, where it had no statutory backing, where there was no law frame. But in the year 2013, under the Companies Act, Section 211 of the Companies Act, it was accorded statutory status to the Serious Fraud Investigation Office. So it has powers on whoever violates the company's law, and even it can arrest the people who had not been in tandem with the company's law. So what are the important functions in which it can act? On receipt of a report of registrar or inspector under section 208 of the Companies Act, on intimation of special resolution passed by company that is in affairs required to be invested, if it thinks that in public interest we need to investigate this crime, on the requirement of any departmental or central government or state agencies, saying that whether a serious crime has been taking place in this institution, whether there is a white collar crime which is taking place. Next important institution, my friends, this is an institution under Ministry of Finance which is called Financial Intelligence Unit, FIU, Financial Intelligence Unit. So Financial Intelligence Unit of India was set by the government of India in the year 2004 as a central national agency for responsible on receiving, processing and analyzing. It receives, it processes and analyzes and disseminates information relating to suspected financial transactions. That is especially in the case of terrorist financing, my friends. So when you say serious fraud investigation office, my friends, that is white collar. But here in this case, whether the money which has been transferred from India or transferred to India is used for terrorist funding or not. For example, recently if one follows the news, one might listen that NGOs are not being given permission to get the foreign contributions into India. Why they are not getting? Because there is a myth, or there might be a conspiracy saying that most of the NGOs which are stationed in India are against the government of India, or they are here just to disturb the peace in India. So just because of that, Ministry of Home Affairs is very cautious to continue the funding of these agencies under Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. Okay. So in that case, so this institution looks into all those things, that is Financial Intelligence Unit, to see whether a transaction is a safe transaction or an illicit transaction to evade a tax or to cause some harm through terrorist financing. Responsible for coordinating and strengthening efforts of national and international intelligence, investigation enforcement agencies in pursuing global efforts against money laundering and financing of terrorism. This one can look in the international relations in G20, where we have agreement against money laundering, and one will also come through group called Egmont Group. Okay, all these things one need to know about these also. Regarding these institutions, my friend, especially the G20 on money laundering case, elaborately we have discussed that topic in the money laundering chapter. Okay. So now we will restrict ourselves to the intelligence unit of this. FIU, that is Financial Intelligence Unit India, is an independent body reporting directly to the, who it reports. Please note down, this is important. Economic Intelligence Council, headed by Ministry of Finance. Please note down, Economic Intelligence Council. What is the vision and mission of this institution? The mission is to provide quality finance and intelligence for safeguarding financial system from the abuses of money laundering, terrorist financing and other economic offences. This is its mission. So its vision is to become highly agile and trusted organization that is globally recognized as efficient and effective intelligence unit. We want to be one of the best country which has intelligence gathering, especially in the case of money laundering and terrorist funding. So what are the functions of Financial Intelligence Unit mandated according to the Ministry of Finance? It is to collect the information. What information you are going to collect? Information regarding the electronic transfer, information regarding the non-profit organization transaction, information regarding cash transaction reports and cross-border wire transfer receipts, reports on purchase and sale of immovable properties and suspicious transaction reports. All these reports you are going to gather. You are not just going to gather, collect, collate, and you are also going to study about this information, investigate into that, analyze the information, and you are also going to share this information with international agencies and even different intelligence agencies in India so that the case can be solved. It is a central repository and data of these transactions. It also coordinates with other international institutions on money laundering and terrorist financing. It also coordinates with research and analysis on the money laundering and terrorist financing. Now we come to the end of this class regarding the financial intelligence unit, where there is a group of various financial intelligence units from different countries. Because my friends, India is not the only country having this unit which deals with money laundering and terrorist financing. Various other countries also have the similar unit, and group of such financial intelligence units is called Egmont Group, which has around 167 financial intelligence units as a whole. This is a grouping of 167 members, my friends. This especially deals with, as I said, you combat money laundering and terrorist financing. Whenever one sees what exactly is Egmont Group, one need to know what does it mean. Next important institution, Enforcement Directorate, my friends. What does this Enforcement Directorate? The name itself says it's going to enforce something. This has been in news consistently when one is very aware about bringing back Vijay Mallya to India. This Enforcement Directorate has been playing a leading role. This comes under the direct tax, my friends. This is also a Ministry of Finance institution. Please let us know about this more. Director General of Economic Enforcement or Enforcement Directorate is a law enforcement and economic intelligence agency responsible for enforcing economic laws and fighting economic crime in India. It was formed for the purpose of handling exchange control law violations under Foreign Exchange Regulation Act. So now we will talk about another important institution, that is Enforcement Directorate. The Enforcement Directorate is also one of the major important institutions which you might have been listening in the news, especially when it comes to the case of Vijay Mallya. Okay, so this Enforcement Directorate is also the institution under Ministry of Finance. The Director General of Economic Enforcement, or it can be simply called Enforcement Directorate, is a law enforcement agency and economic intelligence agency responsible for enforcing economic laws and fighting economic crimes in India. So it was formed with the purpose of handling foreign exchange or exchange control law violations under the Foreign Exchange Regulation Act, which was a draconian law which was later repealed and named as the Foreign Exchange Management Act, which is called FEMA. Okay, but this was to enforce the Foreign Exchange Regulation Act 1947, initially established under the Department of Economic Affairs in 1956 as an enforcement unit. It was later shifted to Department of Revenue. So this unit or this intelligence agency is under what? Ministry of Finance and the Department of Revenue. One might should note it down. Since 1960. Later it was renamed as Enforcement Directorate in the year 1967. It is 67. Okay. Next. Now the Enforcement Directorate is administered by the Department of Revenue under Ministry of Finance, headquartered in New Delhi. They are headed by the Director of Enforcement, who is an Indian Revenue Service officer. Okay. So carved in the role of multidimensional organization, the Directorate of Enforcement enforces two very important laws. One is Foreign Exchange Management Act, which is a civil law, and another is Prevention of Money Laundering Act, which is a criminal law. Having a quasi-judicial powers for investigating suspected contraventions of exchange control laws and regulations with the powers to impose penalties on adjudicated guilty. And under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, whereby officers are empowered to conduct inquiries to locate, provisionally attach, confiscate assets derived from the acts of scheduled offences, besides arresting and prosecuting the money laundering. This one you can see in the Gali Janardhan case, where his money has been taken over by the enforcement officials. So where are the personnel for this Enforcement Directorate are gathered from? Besides directly recruiting personnel, the Directorate also draws officers from different agencies such as Indian Police Service officers, Indian Revenue Service officers, various investigative agencies, and even from customs, excise, income tax, police, and on deputation. On 11th March 2011, after the approval by the government, the director underwent a massive restructuring, becoming a force of 2067 officers, staffing from 758, simultaneously rising the number of its offices from 21 to 49. There are many regional offices which are extended all over India, north, south, east and west. But my friends, these lack lot of infrastructure. So this has been a conclusive or controversial thing that we need manpower and infrastructure to deal with the situations. Not just making 49, but provide infrastructure and office infrastructure for these 49 institutions. What are the main functions of this Directorate of Enforcement? Investigate contraventions of provisions of Foreign Exchange Management Act which come into force effect from 2000, and contraventions with the Foreign Exchange Management are dealt with the way adjudication by designated authorities of ED, and penalties up to 3 times the sum can be involved. One can be fined up to 3 times the sum which he has been doing. Investigate offences of money laundering under the provisions of Prevention of Money Laundering Act. Okay, so offence under Prevention of Money Laundering and prosecute the persons involved in the offence of the money laundering. There are 156 offences under the 28 statutes which are scheduled offences under the Prevention of Money Laundering. So simply I can say enforce Prevention of Money Laundering, enforce Foreign Exchange Management Act, and even it also look of the process on fugitive economic offenders. You see, process the case of fugitives from India under Fugitive Economic Offenders Act 2018. Okay, when Mehul Choksi was to be extradited to India, it was the enforcement directorate officers who were sent to bring back Mehul Choksi from Barbados Islands or those. The objective of this act is to provide the measures to deter fugitive economic offenders from evading the process of law in India by staying outside the jurisdiction of India or Indian courts, providing sanctuaries. So one need to remember, my friends, Fugitive Economic Offenders Act is utilized by Enforcement Directorate to bring back the fugitive economic offenders. Adjudicate show cause notices issued under the repealed Foreign Exchange Regulation Act up to 2002 for alleged contraventions of the Act which may result in imposition of penalties, pursue prosecutions launched under Foreign Exchange Regulation Act in consent. That is, old cases which were dealt with Foreign Exchange Regulation Act are also dealt with Enforcement Directorate. Sponsor cases of preventive detention under Conservation of Foreign Exchange and Prevention of Smuggling Act 1974. Okay, this is an international act, and render cooperation to foreign countries in matters relating to money laundering. Friends, these are all self-explanatory. I need not to go on and go on about that. But my friends, please try to remember what are the laws dealt by these intelligence agencies, what are the ministries under these intelligence agencies work, or where is the headquarter. These are very important for your prelims, and their mandate is very important for you to write a better ethical case studies. So friends, here we come to an end of this session. So thank you for watching our video. This is Nikhil from Telugu One Academy. Thank you.